Hey everyone, it's Ben. This is going to be our first SolidWorks tutorial today. Originally, this would have been a live workshop. However, since we have Network with ASME tonight, this is going to be a pre-recording, so you can just follow along at your own pace. So when you first open up SolidWorks, I kind of already have it opened up here, so that's okay. Usually when you open it up, you're going to get this screen. You're going to have three options: a part, an assembly, or drawing. So a part is a single 3D component, like a bracket or a gear. An assembly is a collection of parts put together. It's like a gearbox, maybe, or any system with multiple components. And then a drawing is like a 2D representation of your part or assembly, and that's the thing you use to communicate your design to someone that's trying to build it. With dimensions and views and notes. So it's important that you learn how to do that in industry. But today we're just going to focus on parts, and if you have time, assemblies. So once you open a new part, we have a bunch of tabs here in the top: features, sketch, markup, evaluate. So we're gonna start with sketch tab. Let's go ahead and create a sketch here. We're gonna click on sketch in the top left corner here and select the plane. These are just like top, front, right plane, like your default planes, just like the standard X, Y, Y, Z, X, Z planes in 3D space. So I'll just start with the top plane. You'll see a little red dot right here. This is where all the planes meet, and it's the origin. I highly recommend you build your sketches off the origin because it gives you a solid reference point that doesn't move. So it makes your sketches way more stable and makes them more resistant to breaking along the line as your parts become more complex. So let's go into some of the sketch tools we have at our disposal here at SolidWorks. I'm going to start with the center rectangle. You just click this drop down and click on center rectangle. It's pretty self-explanatory, I believe. You just click where you want the center of the rectangle to be and drag out a corner of it to whatever size you want. The sizing doesn't matter usually when you create your first shape because you're just going to dimension it anyways. So here we're going to click on Smart Dimension. It's a useful tool. We can just click on the edge you want to dimension. Make this 100 millimeters. And we can click this other edge. Make that 50 millimeters. Click Enter, and it'll snap into place. Now you can see that the lines are black. This means that the sketch is fully defined. So no matter what happens around it, these will not move and will not break. So if your lines are blue, like this, means they are vulnerable uh, to being, altered by other relations down the line. So it's important to define your sketches completely as you move along, so you don't accidentally break your sketch. All right, so after the center rectangle, let's just go ahead right into the corner rectangle. This one, you just click your first corner and drag it out diagonally and find that second corner you like, where you want it to be at. And what's nice about SolidWorks is it tries to guess where you want to place your entity or how you want to dimension it. So, for example, it automatically kind of snaps to the edge of the other rectangle, which is nice. And I'll show you a couple other useful features or tips with like the kind of auto snapping that SolidWorks does in a bit. But let's just create that rectangle and just dimension it as well. Oh, perfect. So here we see that if we press leave this dimension driving, it says that our sketch is overdefined. This means that basically usually there can be conflicting like dimensions or constraints, and it's not too much of a problem here. Everything's yellow, so it's just a couple conflictions. But when it's red, the sketch is unsolvable. So right now it's just because there's too many dimensions that are unnecessary. There's an unnecessary amount of dimensions, so we can just go ahead and delete that dimension and everything go back to normal. Let's go straight into the line tool now. Just click on here. This is the line tool. You can also type L on your keyboard and it'll automatically uh, bring out the line tool for you. So we're just going to make a couple random lines here. You can see again how that line snaps into place and automatically kind of creates that relation, a vertical relation with the other line, which is pretty useful. And you see based off the line we just made, it creates other guidelines. So it's a perpendicular line and a vertical line. What's also useful about these guidelines is you can hover over whatever sort of existing geometry you have, and SolidWorks will create guidelines based off that. So, for example, if I want to uh, draw this line parallel to this uh, construction line on the rectangle, I can hover over this construction line, and if you can see it, the yellow is kind of hard to see. It creates that. It creates that snapping line for you, that guideline. So now it snaps into place and is parallel with the line you just hovered over. And it also provides that perpendicular line as well. So that's really cool feature to use, and you can kind of just use those guidelines to continue. When you're done with the line tool, you can double click, double left click, and it will stop drawing, but it will keep you in the line tool so you can start drawing somewhere else. If you press escape, it'll remove you from the line tool completely. So depending on what you're trying to do, you can either double click or click escape. Okay, let's say I don't want this line here now, what can I do? What's the easiest way to remove that? Well, I would say the trim tool. So we have, it looks like a pair of scissors, and you just drag it across. We want to cut, cut it out. So just like that. So that's pretty easy. Now let's go over the two other line tools really quickly. We have the center line and midpoint. So center line is basically just the construction line, and construction lines are just kind of helper lines that don't become a part of your 3D model. So you just reference, and you can uh, convert any line you have into a construction line by just selecting the line and clicking on the construction checkbox. So let's say I want a line that goes to the middle of this rectangle. You can see SolidWorks helps you find that midpoint and also helps you snap that line into place. When I'm done with it, double click, I'm still in the line tool. If I want to get out the line tool, I press escape. Say I want this to be a construction line, or actually this one, I can just click on it and you can click right here for construction. The last line tool is the midpoint line. Midpoint line is super useful. You just click on where you want the middle of the line to be and you drag it out to its edge, and it'll basically mirror the line on the other side of where you're dragging it, or the opposite side. So I find that pretty useful. Let's go a little faster now. We're going to go to circles. Two types of circles you can draw. You can draw a center point circle, pick where you want the center of the circle to be. You can either snap the perimeter to a certain point or an edge, but you can also just put it wherever and dimension the circle. You can see here how the way the dimension is like sort of, you'd say, formatted kind of changes based on how where I have my mouse positioned. If you want it to be locked in, let's say this way, like you don't like it with the two lines across, you'd rather have it like this, you can right click and it'll lock that sort of look into place. So, and if you want to just unlock it again, you can right click again and unlock it, but I prefer it like this. And then just left click to place it down, put in your dimension, press enter, and you're good. Next one is the perimeter circle. Perimeter circle, you basically click on three points or edges to define your circle, and it'll basically just fully define it. So pretty easy. All right, we'll go into arcs now. There's three different types of arcs or arc tools you can use. First one is the center point arc. Just locate the center that you want it to be based on. Drag out to edge, and then you can play with it and create the arc that you want. So, cool. There we go. Just like that. Next is the tangent arc. This will make the base of the arc tangent to whatever edge is coming off of. So, say I have it coming off this point. Oops, it's getting a little confused. Yeah, so kind of just hovered over this line that I wanted to have it come tangent off of. And now whichever way I kind of point this arc, the base of it will always be tangent to that vertical line. So, and if you keep clicking, the next arc will be tangent to the arc you just placed. So sometimes kind of messes around, but usually it's pretty good. All right, that's tangent arc. Next is 3-point arc. This is the one I kind of use the most. You just on its edges and just play with it. It'll snap when the basically the edges, or sorry, when the lines that intersect to the center, see that those dotted lines, it'll snap when those lines make a 90-degree angle or a 100-degree angle, or I guess a 200 and what was it, 75-degree angle, or no, 70 angle, sorry. Yeah. This will go into splines. So this is the spline tool. I'll just show you guys the basic version of the spline. It's basically like a kind of makes freeform shapes. So you place multiple points and kind of adjust the handle. So I'll show you right now. Once you click, it kind of follows where you're trying to go. And once you have that shape, push escape, and we zoom in, you can see how you can adjust the angle at which the spline enters that point. And that affects the geometry of the whole spline. So this can be a little hard to control, so maybe use them sparingly. But yeah, that's basically the spline. All right, next we'll just go into, we'll show you guys everything. So here we have the ellipse. Don't really use this one much, but you just click on its center and just the edge of it, and then you can create whatever type of ellipse you want. There's also a text tool. So you come in here to this box that says curves, and you define which line you want text to be written on. So if we want it to be on this ellipse, we can just click that and put in Mini-Mechs. You can see it's like backwards, but you can change that, flip it. Mhm. Kind of play around with it so you get it to be in the place you want it to be. Yeah, that's the text. Next, we have a ellipse. I'm sorry, not ellipse, slot. I use slots a lot. The most useful one, in my opinion, is a center point straight slot. Let's grab this tool. And what it does here is you click, how you use it is you click on the center where you want the center of the slot to be. And you basically click on where its foci will be. So I want it right here. And you can just drag it out to whatever radius you want, which you can also then dimension. So that's, oh, excuse me. Okay, so I was just let's see, setting the dimension here. So slots are pretty useful, especially now especially if you're 7A, 7B. I recommend using slots for when you drill into the wood for your rubber because there is room for human error and your screws might not fit in the right place when trying to mount your motor and you'll have a hard time mounting your motor. But if you have slots, it's easier to kind of slide it into place. It's a little insider tip. That's the slot tool basically. You can also set the length from one center to the other, and that'll fully define it. Next, we have polygon. Pretty simple. Drag out the size you want. You can set how many sides you want the polygon to have. So if you want 10 sides, you can make it have 10 sides. You see 10 sides. And you can just click OK. To dimension it, you can dimension the circle inside of it. 15. So let's say this kind of moves the way you don't want it to move, and you want to constrain it. You want to fix it to a point. What you're going to do is you're going to select that center of that circle. You're going to select the point you want to fix it to. So in this case, the origin. Shift click it, by the way. Hold shift and click those two. And you're going to go into the side panel here and you're going to look at the relations. It's going to give you some options for adding relations. You can add coincident. Coincident will bring those two together. And since the origin is already fixed, it's going to move the center of that polygon into place, the center of the part. You can just click OK when you're done. And there you go. Fillets, sketch fillets. There's also like feature fillets, which we'll get to in a second. But sketch fillets, you just find yourself a corner, and you can already see it kind of gives me a preview. This I won't do it here because the center of the circle is defined at the corner of this rectangle. Well, we can do it. We can do it at this corner right here. So you can see how it previews that for you. You can do it here as well. And you can set the radius of that fillet, whatever you want. Click OK. You can see now the corners are now curved. Then I'm going to show you guys the point tool as well. Pretty simple. Wherever you click, creates a point. Not too much there. I'm going to show you guys also a couple tools right here. This is convert entities. We don't have things to convert here, so I'll show that later. But offset entities is something that is used a lot, and you're going to need to use it in CSWA and P. Pretty simple. For example, if you wanted to make let's say the cross section of a pipe, and you know that the wall thickness of the pipe is 5 millimeters. Instead of getting a circle and trying to draw, trying to, you gotta place a circle and then do the math. Like, okay, this is 50 millimeters minus 10 because 5 on both sides, and dimension that, and then all that. You can just go to offset, click on the circle, define the offset you want, make sure it's on the right side. Okay, and you're done. You have yourself an offsetted thing, and it works on everything. So it's pretty cool. So I want to bring that. Yeah. Next, you have mirror. For the mirror, you just select what exactly you want to mirror. For example, this circle, and you select the axis they want to mirror the entity about. So take this construction line that I created earlier as my um, axis of symmetry, and you can either have it copy, so the original the original entity remains there and also just copies it to the other side, or you can deselect copy and have basically just move it across the axis. So I'm just going to copy it and create that like that. For a linear sketch pattern, this is really useful. There's also circular sketch pattern, so I'll go through both of them really quickly. Let's say I have this hexagon, or not hexagon, but whatever it is, decagon. I think it's 10 sides. Uh, you want to pattern it across this line. So have 5 decagons going across this center line. So we're just gonna select entity, click on linear sketch pattern, and you'll see this comes up. So the direction of it, you select this axis to direction. You define the space between the shapes. So let's just say 25. You select how many instances, 3. In sketches to bring it the other way, you just go to the second direction, the same axis. Or, well, you click a different axis that's parallel to that, and it'll have the same effect. And, oh, if the instance is 3, you just flip the direction of it, make sure the distance is the same, and you have this linear pattern of the decagons, of the polygons. We also have this circular sketch pattern, so I'm just going to quickly make just a circle on the edges right here. Dimension it for fun. So let's see, I want it to be there, so I'll just lock it. That we'll select the circle, click on the circular sketch pattern. So here we're going to define the parameter, like where is it going to rotate about? We want it to be this point. So now it's going to rotate about that point. We're going to define how many instances you want, so how many circles you want. So let's just say 10. And then you have different options here. Usually probably just select equal spacing, but you can also dimension spacing. So if you don't want it to be equal, you can dimension the radius. Angular spacing. You can also, if you want it to for them to be equally spaced, but not have it go around the whole thing, you can select equal spacing and say, okay, I want 10 on one side of the circle. So you click you can change it to 180 degrees, and it creates this on a semicircle. This kind of just flips it over to the side. This button just flips, and you can just I'll make that pattern for you. Those are the linear and circular, or yeah, circular sketch pattern. Next, we'll just show you the move entities tool. You have a different types. They work similarly. Move entities. Let's just select this polygon right here. And there's two options. You can either move it through or by selecting a point and dragging that point and snapping it at a different point. I think because this is part of the linear sketch pattern, it won't move like that. But if we just make a random circle, we can move it by selecting the start point and then just put it right there if we want. We can also do it by XYZ. So select the circle, click move entities. You can, or not XYZ, XY. 50 mils to the right, 20 mils up. That's just enough. Rotate entities. You can select this inner ellipse, or actually, yeah, inner ellipse works. Hopefully that works. Find the axis of revolution, and then the degrees, it'll rotate that 90 degrees. Let's rotate. Scale works similarly. You can, I'll grab this circle and then scale about the center if you want. And you can say, oh, I want to make it 5 times the size, bang, or 2 times the size. That's scale. So those are all the sketch tools, or the most common ones. I'm also going to just show you guys real quick the relations. Let's say I have this random line and I want to make it parallel with this edge of this rectangle here. I can, again, shift click both of these, and I can either make it parallel. You can see I made it parallel. I'm sorry, perpendicular, not parallel. Anyways, or now parallel. You can have parallel. You can do collinear. That'll bring it to the line. You can make them equal length. Let's actually delete that collinear so you can see that here. Keep it there, but you can move it up. And yeah, if you want it to be, it can't make heat. Now it's overdefined because two relations contradict each other. We're trying to have a parallel and then also a horizontal. Obviously, you can't have that. So the sketch is overdefined and SolidWorks can't resolve the sketch. So you have to just go in and find the relation. You can click directly on the icon, click delete. You can also just click on the entity, and then you can see what relations exist on that entity. Okay, so that's an interesting sketch we got here. So now I'm going to show you guys how the features tab. So we're going to exit this sketch here. And before anything else, we're going to save this part. SolidWorks sometimes loves to crash. And if you've worked with SolidWorks enough, it's at least happened one time where you've lost a lot of progress from it. So it's important to get into a good habit of pressing Control S. That's the saving shortcut. When you get to large part files, I just start spamming Control S after every move. Or sometimes it gets to that point. But let's see. Okay, so let's just save this part. We'll just say this is Mini-Mechs tutorial 1. And And I think I already made at least I thought I made a Mini-Mechs folder, but I do not see it. So I'll just put it in this larger Solidworks folder. It's okay. Cool. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hide the sketch. But before I do that, you see there's also a couple options. You got edit sketch, so that obviously allows you to go back into the sketch. Edit sketch plane. Right now it's in the top plane, but I can go ahead and switch that to, let's say, the front plane, and that'll not put it in a different plane. All right. Also, I'll show you guys this tabs up here in a second, but let's go ahead and hide this for now. We're going to create a new sketch, a simpler sketch, so we can start working with the features tab. I'll just do it on the top plane, and I'll just start by creating a rectangle. And I'll extrude it. So clicking extruded boss space basically, um, well, brings that sketch out into three-dimensional field. So you can with the extrusion you can set a depth. So here is 10 millimeters, so we can change that to, let's say, 50. And yeah, there's also different types of extrusions, which we'll get to in a bit, that help you kind of figure out that depth a little easier, or kind of streamlines your workflow. But I'll get to that in a little bit. But here we have our first extrusion. Next, we're going to look at the extruded cut. So do that first in your sketch. You can place sketch not just on planes, you can also place sketches on faces of bodies you already have, existing bodies. So it says now select a plane or a planar face. So I'll select this top face. And I'll draw a circle in the middle as well. I'll dimension that circle to 20 mils. Now from here, without exiting the sketch, I can click on the Features tab and click on Extruded Cut. The side panel will not come out. And again, you have different types of ways you can set the depth for your extruded cut. You have blind, where you can just manually enter how deep you want the cut to go. So say I want a 20, I can put a 20. It's not as deep. I can also do through all. And I'll take it all the way to the end of the most bottommost face of the part. You can also do through all both. You want it to go out from both sides, depending on what you have around that surface. Another one I use a lot is up to surface. And actually, I use a lot of these. Up to surface, basically, you can just define what surface you want to go up to, and then cut it to that surface. There is offset from the surface. So if you know that you want the cut to be 10 millimeters from the bottom, you can set that instead of trying to do the math. How deep you have to cut it, or if that's a part that constantly changes, having that set to being 10 millimeters from the bottom can help you from having to re-edit it a bunch of times. You also have mid-plane. So with mid-plane, if our sketch was, let's say, in the middle of this, you could have the extruded cut go out from both sides. And if you set it 20 millimeters, it's going to be 10 millimeters on each side for a total 20 millimeters. So I'll just set it to through all. Okay, got ourselves a hole. All right. All right, next I'll show you guys the revolve ball slash base. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a sketch that is on the front plane. We're gonna go ahead and draw using our construction line to make an N axis of revolution. Then we're gonna go ahead and create a profile to the side of the axis of revolution. For now, it should be a circle, or let's just yeah, just a circle. I'll go ahead and dimension the size of it, and also dimension how far away from the axis it's going to be. So let's say 15. Now I'm going to just go to features and go to revolve boss base. So I already automatically did it for me, but if it doesn't, say it's going to first ask for the axis of revolution, to which you would click on the construction line. Then also it might ask for selected contours, to which you would select the circle. In this case, it's already selected, I guess. And yeah, you can have it revolve all the way around, or you can, have it revolve around custom angle, basically 180, 90, whatever you would like. Okay. Obviously, like the revolve is not limited to circles. If we go back to the sketch, let's say, um, I can create some random shape. Let's say have a spline come down here, come back out. Make a make a vase. Here, instead of closing it up, I'm just gonna offset these lines. And here that I have this extra, I'll just trim. I'll also, forgot to do it, but I'll make this spline and this circle tangent with each other. That'll keep the line smooth. And I'll also fill it to this. Or we'll hold on that for now. Now we can save that sketch. It's going to say, oh, it's an issue. So let's exit the sketch and rebuild anyways. And the revolve is going to have an issue. It wasn't able to be solved because we changed some things. Now it's confused on what the contours are for the revolution. So we're going to select those now. I actually have to close this sketch because if you're going to extrude or revolve, contour has to be closed. Once we close that, we can go back to the revolve feature and select the contours you want. So in this case, we do these two. Oh, there you go. And it'll make this interesting vase, I guess. But yeah, so it's not limited to just the super simple contours. You can make whatever you want. And you can make these really cool shapes pretty easily. Next, I'm going to show you guys the swept boss slash base. So this is a cool tool. You can use 3D sketches for this, but we're going to stick to like a 2D version for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a sketch on that right plane again, or the right plane. And I'm just going to make a circle out here. I'll have it be like snap to that. And I'll even dimension it. 50 millimeters from the edge of that rectangle. And to mention the size of the circle, I'll make it 15. All right. Now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of that sketch. You can see the sketch is visible. And now I'm gonna create a new sketch, but before I do that, I want the sketch to be on a plane that intersects with this center point of the circle. How I'm gonna do that is I'm first gonna measure the distance between the center of the circle and this surface, which happens to be 50, right? We dimensioned that earlier, but I already forgot. So, and then we can just click to copy that dimension, and we can go ahead and go to features and reference geometry. Reference geometry is extremely useful, especially if we're creating planes. We're gonna go ahead and click that. Then we're gonna find that first reference for our plane, which is gonna be this face. And we can go ahead and enter in our 50 millimeter. Oh, yeah, my computer has not been working very well. So as you can see, my computer's slow and SolidWorks is crashing. That's why it's important to always press Control S, or else you're gonna lose some of your progress. But that's okay because there's not much progress done over here. We'll be right back. Ready. As I was saying, we made this plane 50 millimeters off of the surface of the block here, which intersects with the center of the circle. We're going to go ahead and click OK, and we're going to. It's already selected for us, so we'll just click Sketch, and we're already going to be on that plane in a sketch. So now we're going to go to the center of the circle, and we're going to just select the spline again, and we're just going to make some arbitrary path. Not too important. Let's have a little bit of fun and just why not? All right. Escape. And Control S to save it. There we go. Now we have a contour and we have a path. With a contour and a path, we can now create our swept boss / base. It already knows, kind of already guess what our path's going to be. And for our profile, we just select that. And it's going to go ahead and make an extrusion following the path. The contour doesn't have to be circle. I made it circle because it's more, I don't know, it's more realistic, but it can be anything. And click OK. We're going to have this fun squiggly tube. Now, besides the swept boss / base, we also have the swept cut. So we can go ahead and hollow this out pretty easily by just creating another contour. And we can do it on the same face that it was on. Can't really see it. But now, instead of trying to draw a circle, what we can do is we can click on offset entities, click the edge of the circle here, flip it, make a wall thickness 2 millimeters, 1.5 millimeters. Why not? And click OK. We have ourselves our second profile now. We can go right into just, well, except exit the sketch, but we have a profile for cutting the tube now. So we're just going to click on swept cut. We're going to find the profile we want, which is going to be this, and the path. To find the path, we can go to this drop-down menu. It's all the different pieces we have in our part. We're going to click the drop-down menu on the sweep right here, just drop-down menu, and click on the sketch. That's going to define the path. With the path and with the profile, it's ready to cut. Then click OK. And it's going to hollow the whole thing. And to prove it, we're going to use something called a section view, which should be this button right here. And it basically just kind of shows you a cut off section of your part. So as you can see, it's already kind of doing that for us. You can move it. You can change its direction, have it come from above. This looks pretty cool. Low water slide. But yeah, you guys, you can see it's completely hauled out due to the swept cut that we did. So we don't need the section view anymore. So we'll just click out of it. Since we're on this toolbar, I'll go ahead and show you guys the view orientation. When you click this, this 3D shape comes up, and wherever you click, whichever face you click, the view of your part kind of snaps to that face. If I want to go this top view, I can move around, and select the view from down here. So it's pretty useful. This tool basically is you see different, I'd say, just like display styles. We have like a smooth, no edges kind of view. Outlines, outlines with hidden lines, and hidden lines bolded, or not bolded, but solid hidden lines. Go back to the normal. Here we have like kind of the hiding taskbar, you could say. Here you could easily toggle between hiding all planes and viewing all planes. Hiding all sketches and viewing. So right now, obviously, all the sketches are hidden, but let's say I had this original sketch here, and I also had this sketch visible. Let's say I wanted to just, it's too messy right now. I can just specifically either select sketches or just hide everything by clicking that button. All you have left is the solid bodies. These are just appearances. So go ahead and hide sketches right now. Yeah. Takes you to the appearances toolbar. You can select the color you want your part to be. I was fine with what it was, so I'm just going to cancel. That's basically the most used tools in that little toolbar right there. Moving on from the swept boss, we also have a lofted boss base. So that uses multiple profiles to sort of extrude through them. I'll make an example here. I'll create a sketch that's on the top plane, but kind of away. And I'll make a rectangle. I'll exit the sketch. I'll create a sketch. Oops. Create a sketch on this plane. Hold on. Yeah, let's go ahead and uncover the sketches now so we can actually see. And I'll just hide this individually. We'll go ahead and sketch on the surface. And let's say we bring it over here and exit that sketch. Oops. And then click on this plane, create a sketch on this plane. Have that be over here. A little baby one. All right. Once you exit, you see they're on 3 different levels. And with the lofted boss base now, you go to features, click on that, and you can select the profile. So I'll be profile 1, profile 2. Right now you see how it's kind of twisted. That's because these green dots kind of direct where each vertex aligns with. So we want these vertices to align with each other, so that's better. And then we select this last contour, and it creates this shape here. There's obviously a lot to play with, but that's the gist of a loft. Right. All right, let's quickly look at fillets now. Fillets are probably one of my favorite things in SolidWorks. They're just so satisfying and fun to use. So you can either manually insert fillets by just clicking on each edge that you want to fillet. It's kind of massive, but you can change the radius of your fillet, and then it just rounds your edges, which personally, um, I believe makes your part look better, and it also provides better structural integrity. These corners are a little more vulnerable to breaking. So you can either manually kind of input those fillets, or just Control Z real quick and do that. There's also, well, with a manual, you can also click on faces, which is probably easier to do. But there's also a fillet expert. When you click on an edge, you'll get a little bar there with different options. So you can either complete the loop, fillet the edges that are connected to the start face, fillet the edges internal to the feature. So it'll give you different options, like different presets. It'll even give you the options just to fillet every single edge that's on that body. And just a click. So it's really quick when you have a larger part that you're trying to maybe fillet. But yeah, that's the basics of the fillet. Now we're going to go ahead and look into, oh, actually, let me show you the chamfer as well. So I'll just create a part real quick. On the top, a quick rectangle. And the chamfer is like a fillet, but it's with the sharp edges instead of rounded. So we get a different version of it. If you go on items chamfer, you can kind of see how you see the preview of it. You can also change, obviously, the size as well as the angle. So right now it's at 45 degrees, but you can change that to, say, 70 degrees. You can change that to 20 degrees. Give you different angles for the chamfer. That's interesting. That is a chamfer. I'll also show you guys the shell. The shell features a neat tool. I use it on occasions. You just click the face that you want to be the outer open face of the shell. And it'll basically hollow out the inside of your part or of your body. So if you have kind of a complex shape that's not very easy to cut extrude, basically, then you can shell it. And that's especially useful, will be useful in the CSWA and CSWP. the shell tool because you're gonna have these interesting shapes that I want to be hollowed out. And they ask you to hollow them out. So you just select the face, select how thick you want the borders to be. So let's say you want it to be 5 millimeter thickness. Click OK, and you basically just hollow it out the inside. So every wall is 5 millimeters thick. And even though we have this trapezoidal sort of top, it was still extremely easy to hollow out the shape of the body. Next, we'll quickly go over mirror. There's obviously mirror in the 3D realm as well, not just in the sketches. But now instead of mirroring across axes, you mirror across planes. So our mirror face slash plane will be the right plane for today, or for right now. And then I like bodies to mirror, but sometimes you have to play around with it because mirror can give you errors depending on situation. I'll select this body to mirror. I usually have the least problems with just mirroring the body itself instead of a feature, but that's up to what exactly you're trying to do. But as you can see, it mirrored the shape. Just like in the sketch, if you go here, oops, if you go here and edit it, you can choose to, I guess not. Never mind. Okay. Now let's look over the evaluate tab really quick. The measuring tool, I've used it already in this tutorial, but it's extremely useful and you can use it no matter what type of action you're taking. So for example, even if you're in the middle of an extrusion, you'd still be able to go into evaluate and click on the measure tool if you need a quick refresher on, oh, how thick do I want this extrusion to be? So you can easily measure between faces, surface areas, perimeters, between edges. It's good. You can also change the units and the precision. So obviously I have it in millimeters since my units of the part are in millimeters. Yeah, very useful tool. And then we also have mass properties. So in your CSWA exams and CSWP, you're going to assign a material. It's going to tell you what material it is. And that's basically how it checks to see if you made the part right in the exam. You're going to assign the material to your part and you're going to measure its mass property. So let's say it asks for your part to be an aluminum alloy, like 1060, let's say. So you go to, here, I'll do it again. You go to material, navigate to material, right click, go on edit material. And I'm sure if you search at 1060, it'll come up, give you a bunch of its characteristics, like its elastic modulus, Poisson's ratio, hopefully I said that right, shear modulus, etc. Tensile strength. So you apply the material to the part. Material is applied. So when you go to mass properties, you will be given its density, or not density, well, it doesn't really matter, but mass. Usually ask for mass, volume as well, surface area, center of mass. Usually and when you're doing assembly problems in the CSWA exam, it'll ask for your center of mass. So to see if you've placed the parts in the correct positions and the correct distances away from each other. So that's definitely something to know, especially for your exams. But yeah, that's just there in the evaluate tab. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for this intro to part modeling in SolidWorks. Hopefully you got a good sense of the basic tools, how to use them and like why things are done the way they are. We covered a lot from sketching and dimensioning to features like extrudes, revolves, sweeps, fillets, and everything we built today. We try to tie it back to good design habits, like keeping your sketches fully defined, building off the origin when you can, using constraints intentionally, which might not seem like very like big, but it'll save you a lot of time on more complex parts. So making sure where things are defined intentionally. But yeah, this is just the foundation. Once you get this down, though, everything else in SolidWorks starts to click faster. Uh, I definitely encourage you guys to mess around with the tools that we use today and explore even a little further. Try making your own parts. Look online. There's plenty of practice CSWA parts you can attempt on your own. And just try to get comfortable with the interface. You use SolidWorks a lot as a mechanical engineer, so it's important to pick up those skills early. We're going to give you guys more resources as the weeks go by. And yeah, next time we're going to go into assemblies, drawings, and get into CSWA parts specifically. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tagging along. And I hope this helped you. Thank you.